This is NDDC Today. Good evening. Thanks again for joining us. Now, the Niger Delta is agog. Why? Because our long-awaited 28th-year building, the headquarters of the NDDC, is about to be officially commissioned, ending a 28-year wait. Now, that's something to look forward to now. Everybody is talking about the opening ceremony of this magnificent building. Later on in the program, we shall give you a short vignette on the background behind this building, why it took so long to build, and the likely benefits now that the Niger Delta NDDC has a headquarters. We begin today, however, with a visit of the administrator of the NDDC to Imo State, together with his team of directors, to meet with the governor and the executive of that state to see how the NDDC can cooperate and collaborate with that state to make its project in that state meaningful and useful to its people. Of course, the entourage met with the governor, and also the interim administrator took the opportunity to make some donations to the Imo State government of a couple of trucks and other items, after which the interim management inspected the 24-kilometer dual carriageway linking Imo with River State, running across the oil-producing areas of that state. Our correspondent was on the entourage.
The governor of Imo State, Senator Hope Uzodimma, has charged Niger Delta stakeholders to shun politics and give room for the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) to work for the development of Nigeria's oil-rich region. Senator Uzodimma made the appeal during a courtesy visit by the NDDC interim administrator, Mr. Effiong Akwa, and his team of directors at the Imo State Government House, Owerri. The governor lamented that over the years, politics had impeded the speed of work by the NDDC, advising Niger Deltans not to allow politics and sentiments slow down the work of NDDC. He declared that the time for politics is over and that it is time for governance.
I would therefore want to advise our leaders and members of all oil-producing states to shun politics, shun sentiments, and allow NDDC to perform.
Senator Uzodimma lauded President Muhammadu Buhari and the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, for the appointment of Akwa as NDDC's interim administrator, pending the composition of a new board for the commission. The governor noted that the NDDC, as an interventionist agency, is meant to fast-track development of the oil-producing region of the country. He regretted that some young people were being sponsored to protest against the activities of the NDDC, urging them to stop and allow peace reign, because development can only take place in an atmosphere of peace. The governor said Imo State was in dire need of NDDC's intervention in roads and in the educational sector, especially tertiary institutions. He asked the NDDC to furnish the hostel it built for the state university so that students can use the facility in comfort and safety, noting that it was particularly important now in view of the COVID-19 pandemic.
You need intervention coming from you to our roads, our tertiary institutions owned by this state, that you can help. Some of the hostels are not completed, are not furnished, and they have been lying fallow there for years.
Earlier, the NDDC Chief Executive Officer told the governor that the interim management was meeting with important stakeholders of the Niger Delta region as directed by President Buhari. He commended the Imo State governor for embarking on many projects which are helping to open up areas with rich agriculture potential. The NDDC boss highlighted the importance of energizing the Commission's Presidential Advisory Council, comprising the state governors in the 9 Niger Delta states, stating that in the past where the Commission undertook projects and programs in the state without first building a working coalition with the state governments to integrate plans, policies, projects and programs into the state government's overall master plan will no longer hold.
The past practice where the Commission undertook projects and programs in the state without recourse to the governors will be a thing of the past.
Akwa said the courtesy visit was both to acknowledge the governor's strategic importance to the Niger Delta development as well as to seek ways in which to forge a stronger alliance with the government and people of Imo State. The interim administrator later handed over keys to 4 waste disposal trucks to the Imo State government to assist the government in its efforts to improve the sanitary conditions of the cities in the state.
On behalf of the people and government of Imo State, thank you from the bottom of our heart for bringing this very encouraging support to us.
While in Imo State, Mr. Akwa inspected some NDDC road projects and facilities. At the 24-kilometer dual carriageway linking Imo and River State, the NDDC Chief Executive Officer noted that the road was a very important project for the NDDC and the Niger Delta because it links rural communities in the oil-producing areas of Imo and River State. Akwa charged the contractor to return to site immediately as the NDDC is committed to building sustainable regional infrastructure, especially in the oil-producing areas.
We have advised the contractor to ensure that whatever job is done should be a protected job, so that we won't begin to lose the earthwork together with the resources he has put in it. And we want to avoid a situation where the contractor comes back to the Commission to ask for variation. That's what we want to avoid.
Speaking on the challenges facing the project, the contractor, engineer Dennis Odada, appealed for the payment of outstanding interim payment certificates, IPCs, noting that the delays in funding was a major impediment to the completion of the project. The NDDC boss also inspected the completed 8-kilometer Obinze-Umuokane road with concrete drains in Owerri West local government area connecting several food-producing communities. At the NDDC Imo State office in Owerri, the interim administrator who was taking round the premises and facilities by the director of the state office, Mr. Peter Edieya, urged the staff to cultivate a good maintenance culture. Akwa charged the management and staff to be proactive and take facilities in their offices as their own by taking good care of them. He urged them to consider themselves as ambassadors of the people that should work harmoniously with stakeholders and fellow staff for a better Niger Delta region.
In 1992, it started as UMPADEC, a commission set up to address the socio-economic problems of the Niger Delta, long held up in penury by oil-producing activity. In 1993, the executives of UMPADEC initiated this building as a permanent home, a befitting headquarters. But like UMPADEC, the effort fizzled out. For more than 28 years, the task remained impossible. But then rose these actors to the rescue. Their effort has yielded this result. A magnificent high-rise edifice towering like a colossus in the city of Port Harcourt, a new landmark of regional unity in the Niger Delta. This 13-story ultra-modern architecture is now ready for commissioning. Sir, the task is done. NDDC, making a difference. Now it's official. The magnificent 13-story NDDC headquarters building is about to be commissioned. 38,000 square meters of beautiful landscaping with ancillary services like banks, hospitals, and what have you. Now let's tell you the full story behind this building. It all began in 1992 when the Oil Minerals Producing Areas Development Commission (OMPEDEC) was created by a military decree number 6 of 1992 for the sole purpose of managing the 1.5% oil derivation fund. It was meant to address the socio-political problems of the Niger Delta, an area long devastated by oil exploration and production activity. The pioneer board of OMPEDEC, under the then watchful eye of Chief Albert Hosfall as managing director and CEO, planned a permanent corporate headquarters, from where he hoped to coordinate the Commission's activities in its 9 component states, a central head office in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital. To give the decision of the board a sense of reality, the A.K. Hosfall-led administration awarded a contract for the building, the permanent corporate headquarters. The foundation for the project was laid in 1994. In less than 5 years after the headquarters building foundation was laid, OMPEDEC fizzled out and later metamorphosed into the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) through an act of parliament in the year 2000. The idea of the permanent headquarters building did not die at inception of the NDDC. The commission was handed a marching order: go and inherit all projects and liabilities of the defunct OMPEDEC and continue with the development of the most difficult terrain in Nigeria, the Niger Delta region, to become a hopeful El Dorado everyone is craving for. At first, the thrust of the early managers of the NDDC was to provide as many quick impact projects and programs to millions of Niger Deltans as possible and their communities across the region. That task would literally a race against time for the NDDC, because to conquer both the physical and emotional poverty was a Herculean task. In light of these huge expectations, the Inherited Commission Head Office project had to wait due to the paucity of funds to give room for other pressing demands of the people. With no place to call its permanent home, the pioneer board of the NDDC resolved to renting accommodation for its head office. On the 23rd of February 2004, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, visited Rivers State and commissioned the Dapa Biriye House, 167 Aba Port Harcourt Road address, to become the temporal headquarters of the NDDC. For more than 20 years, the day-to-day business transactions of the NDDC were run from here, under the tenures of 6 past substantive managing directors, CEOs, and 8 acting MDs. These creme de la creme of former managing directors and acting MDs of the NDDC had at different times made their inputs and mark on the construction or contract management of this permanent headquarters building project, at different times as chief executive officers. In 2010, the then sitting board of the NDDC, led by Dr. Tarila Tebekba as chairman and Dr. Christian Obo as managing director CEO, decided to terminate the existing contract for the headquarters building project, which had earlier been awarded to Marshland Company. The reason? They performed below expectations. The Talurila Tebekba-led board then sought and secured the approval of the Federal Executive Council, chaired by former President Goodluck Jonathan GCFR, to terminate the existing but non-performing headquarters building contract. On December 10, 2014, another board headed by Bassi Ewe Henshaw as chairman and Barrister Bassi Dan Abia as managing director CEO awarded another contract for the construction of the ancillary buildings at the headquarters complex. But this project also did not see the light of day as expected. In March 2018, the Senator Ndoma Egba-led board, which had Obong Nseme-Kere as managing director CEO, re-awarded the head office building project, which, as you recall, was revoked in 2014. Now, it was re-awarded to another contractor called Rodnap Nigeria Limited for speedy completion.
When we came in, We looked at that project. We looked at the contract itself. We saw that there were so many moving parts. And we came to the determination that if the project had to be completed, that then it had to be done, differently. We looked at the contractors. We looked at, the terms of the contract. And I'm happy that we took that bold initiative. We terminated the project from the previous contractor who had been on site for very long. He did his best. I wouldn't say he didn't do anything. He did his best. But we needed to complete on time.
Rodnab, on resumption of work at the headquarters project site, noted that the structural design for the building had become obsolete, having been on the drawing board for over 25 years. Rodnab further advised that the design of the building be upgraded for it to conform to the trend of modern structural architecture in order to enhance the durability and convenience of the facility. The obstacles that hindered the headquarters building project for many years were enormous and seemed impossible until a team of new actors stepped into the affairs of the NDDC and rescued the headquarters building project in 2019. The team was led by Senator Godswill Akpabio, who was appointed Minister of the Niger Delta Affairs and the Supervising Minister of the NDDC by the Buhari administration. Godswill Akpabio, on his maiden visit to the Commission's permanent site in Port Harcourt, gave a ministerial marching order to the then acting Managing Director of NDDC, Dr. Mrs. Enya Akwagaga, to intensify machineries to fast-track the completion of the building.
Our intention is to bring President Muhammadu Buhari to come here because he believes in change. And that change means that this project cannot remain like this abandoned for 23 years without being commissioned. That's why I said they must give me their commitment that they will fund this project and will work together to supervise it to ensure that come next year, Mr. President chooses the period to come here and celebrate with them that for the first time in over 24 years that NDDC now has a permanent site and will no longer be paying rent.
Since I made sure that the headquarters building was a priority, I made sure that that was prioritized, the funds were prioritized, and the contractor was paid to commence the building after a long time of being abandoned.
From the day Senator Godswill Akpabio visited the permanent headquarters site, work on the project seemed to have picked up speedily, in spite of the many challenges that bedeviled the administration of the Interim Management Committee, the IMC 1 and 2, with the last of the committee headed by Professor Keme Bradikumo-Ponde, who took the bull by its horn when he moved his office and those of his executive team into the uncompleted headquarters building for the purpose of closer monitoring of the project, which makes him and his committee members the first team of chief executive officers to occupy the now multi-billion naira permanent headquarters of the Commission.
So it's a modern edifice, and I think it's a place that everybody will be proud of.
MD, we should be very proud that you are the first managing director to move to this edifice. And this feat could not have been achieved without the cooperation of members of the Interim Management Committee and then the directors in the ministry and the entirety of the staff.
On the 10th of December 2020, the leadership of the NDDC had a change of pattern, and Mr. Effiong Akwa appointed as new interim administrator, CEO of the Commission. And one of the main challenging tasks before Mr. Akwa was to see the 100% completion of the headquarters building and get the entire complex ready for its eventual commissioning. Few weeks later, January 13th, 2021 to be precise, Mr. Effiong Akwa officially inaugurated the headquarters building commissioning committee. Among other committees, hoped to move the work of the commission forward.
Now we have a befitting headquarters building for the Niger Delta Development Commission that is due for commissioning. It is on that note that we are calling these persons The chairman of this committee will remain the interim administrator and the chief executive officer, that is myself, and I will be assisted by the co-chairman, engineer Abraham Andovu, who is the director of project monitoring department, and we also have engineer Julius Toye, the director of project management department.
28 years after the headquarters foundation was laid, the management, staff and stakeholders of the NDDC and Nigerians at last are heaving a sigh of relief as the long-awaited ultra-modern corporate headquarters complex comes into place.
We have voted over 16 billion of the people's money into this headquarters. It's been on for a while. You may say it has taken time, yes, but today we are happy to sit down in this headquarters of Niger Delta Development Fund.
Now let's tell you about some of the complex features of this ultra-modern complex. The headquarters complex is built on a landmass measuring about 38,000 square meters, which gives ample space for the magnificent 13-floor high-rise edifice and other ancillary buildings with facilities for banking, restaurant, supermarket, community halls, staff clinic, among others. The complex has 2 main gates, power plants, engine house, separate car parks for staff and visitors, walkways, and lots more. The interior and exterior aesthetics of the complex is a sight to behold. The headquarters edifice can be defined as a mastercraft of modern architecture, fully and well equipped with every modern safety and security apparatus, power supply and central air conditioning systems meant to provide that cool atmosphere for workers and visitors alike to carry out their daily businesses with less stress.
What we brought in was what we call optimization, making the building from where the design it was to the 21st century of a modern building. And that's why when you see the function of the building now, you can see escalator working, you can see a lot of the new modern facility that you can find anywhere in the world.
So at last, after 20 years of rented accommodation for which the Commission paid huge sums of money to landlords and so on, the Commission now rests on an area of its own.
We will give kudos to the uncommon transformer, the Minister of the Niger Delta Affairs, Godswill Akpabio, for keeping to his words that in his time he must ensure that this project, that NDDC moves from being a tenant to being housed in its own building, its own property.
In all, as a commission, we are very happy that this project is finally completed. And for me, I'm also very happy because I happen to be the alternate chairman for this commissioning ceremony. And I'm very happy to be part of this success story.
This is actually an edifice that will stand the test of time, an edifice that have added to the aesthetics of the beauty of River State and of course the Niger Delta, courtesy of the NDDC.
In going forward, this once abandoned edifice project will inspire, we hope, a new spirit of doing business better at the Commission. Although the NDDC headquarters project took too long a time to be delivered in the thinking of many stakeholders and admirers of the Commission, some are full of hope for the Commission.
As the host community, we are the host community, we're happy for them coming. In fact, we can't wait. We're all happy, we're waiting for them to come.
For NDDC to come, it's a great to all the youth here. They will find them, there will be job opportunity. They will help 1 or 2 persons. So we're happy for them.
As it always said in local parlance, 100 years is not forever. At last, the long-awaited Niger Delta Development Commission's permanent headquarters building are ready. It is not just a building complex. Here it is hoped the hope of the Niger Delta people will now flourish. The executives, think tank of the various boards of the Commission can now have a base on which to plan and deliver on its mandates to facilitate the rapid, even and sustainable development of the Niger Delta region into a region that is economically prosperous, socially stable, ecologically regenerative, and politically peaceful. So now the NDDC has a permanent headquarters. All the think tank, all the people, eggheads, who need a place to sit and plan the development of the Niger Delta can now have a place to do so. And we hope to see that effect in the Niger Delta in the next couple of years. Thank you for watching. We'll see you at the opening ceremony.